Welcome to The Skeptic and the Pastor, a conversation between two friends about life, differences, and everything in between.
Yeah.
That's it, we're going, huh?
We are, yep. I know, man. That was interesting. Last time we ended up needing both.
And I ended up. Did you listen to where I spliced it in?
Yeah, no, it was good.
I got it pretty close, man. It wasn't picture perfect.
No, but you know what's cool about that though too is that like you didn't miss any of the content, right? Mm-hmm. And then honestly, like the quality's not that bad, man. It's not drastically different. This is, obviously a higher level quality, so it definitely like sounds good. But dude, this thing does not sound bad at all, man.
No, for an $80 microphone.
Yeah, no, it sounds great.
And we're not. And what's crazy too is obviously no one can see us, but you and I are talking into these high-end microphones, and we got them right in front of us, like a fist away from our face.
Yeah.
So it picks up everything and sounds good. To where our backup microphone is just kind of plopped in the middle of the table.
Yep.
Capturing the sound, but it's not bad.
Yeah, no, not bad at all. And then we've actually needed it twice, man. So we got all these.
Yeah, that's the second. Dude, yeah. I learned that early on from my other podcast with James, that to always have a backup.
Yeah.
Because,
I don't know if I told you or not, but we had, in our, like now that we're doing all this crazy stuff with recording, and we had a Sunday where we recorded everything. Our first week, actually, that's what it was. Our first week of doing church online, we recorded everything. We had it all set up, and we thought, all right, this is gonna work. First of all, we had no clue what to expect, right? So we were recording late on Saturday. It's the first time we get back and the audio is not good, man. It's like we have a bunch of audio issues to the point where like it wasn't gonna pass. Like, I mean, it was definitely
it wasn't gonna pass because of your how am I going to say this?
Perfectionism.
Yeah, that's a better word. That's better than what I was going to use. Yeah. So we'll go with that. It wasn't good enough for your standards or for the world standards?
No, honestly, it wasn't, definitely for mine.
That's obvious.
Yeah, but no, it definitely, the team would have listened and been just like, it would have been like, nails on a chalkboard, dude. It would have been hard to watch, The message would have come across. The biggest struggle would have been the music beforehand, and so that night I text the guys, two of our associate pastors, and I'm like, hey, what do you guys think? And I get them on the phone, and they're hearing it, and within a minute they're both like, all right, we gotta do this over. So at that point, there's no way to do it over and record. You have to come in and you have to do like a live service. So that Sunday, everybody had to come back Sunday morning. We had to go live twice. Instead of having the once, where it's recorded and then, sent through twice. So backups, yeah, like we've been learning through that, trying to have like, if there's always a backup, either we're recording to an SD card, all the video, and then we're also going private on Facebook or on YouTube rather. And so we always have a backup on YouTube. If all else fails, there's a backup there. And so we've kind of learning through that. The other thing we're trying to do is have a backup on our SD card from our actual soundboard. And so that the actual sound is there as well.
Oh, that'd be nice.
And we've done that, but we haven't been consistent with it. And right now we haven't had to use it. That's where you get into where you could get really tedious though, really overproduced. And like, we're coming in, we're cleaning it up a little bit, but we're not overdoing it.
Yeah, dude, I don't like the overdone. You listen to some podcast, and dude, I mean, these are from big companies that have a ton of money and time and resources, and they have whole departments that edit the heck out of everything, and they will go through and take like pauses out, like that right there where I just stopped.
Yep.
And they'll go, I mean, literally, they'll go through and listen and just take out. So it's just, there's like barely any, it's weird. And you can tell, like someone, for myself, I've been recording a podcast for, 2 years now. I've had one. And so you can, if you listen, you can pick up on it. Like, and then it's a weird thing. It's nice. It's very succinct and clean, but Dude, that's a big task.
Yeah, it is.
That takes a lot of time to do that.
And then the skill set, honestly, you learn as you go. But like guys that are doing it high end, I mean, they got degrees
Right.
in engineering, sound, and video, all that. And what's crazy about that is you have, like, in terms of church world, you got people from all different backgrounds right now that 6 weeks ago when all this started, they had no clue how to put together church online situation. Like, and a lot of people have, the easy part is you could just get a phone or a computer and put it in front of you. You get the webcam going and go live on Facebook. And so you can do that. And a lot of people have resorted to that. But I'll tell you what, man, it caught, a whole industry, if you will. I mean, I don't like to use that term, but
that's what
you catch a whole industry by surprise and you tell them, hey, you can't do what you do. You can't gather together in person. And really it's across the board. We're all feeling this. But now it's like, what do you do? Well, you got to figure it out, and you have people scrambling to like learn this technology and, but I've been encouraged. I've seen some older like pastors jump on there and I just like, man, good job, guys. You're adapting. You're on there and you're doing good.
You had a little bit of a jump start.
Yeah,
thankfully, because you were into the technology.
We did, thankfully. Like we've been streaming live online for, I think this, I believe, and I'd have to go back and look, but I believe this Easter was 5 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That long?
So we've been streaming for a long time. But I'll tell you, it's been a learning curve over the 5-year process. It hasn't. We've tried all kinds of different equipment. We've gone from like very simple to then a little bit more robust, and then a year ago we went into something that was even more a nicer piece. It's called Sling Studio, and a lot of people. It's kind of like I wouldn't call it. It's not a low end thing, but it's not a high end either. It's more mid tier somewhere in there. It gives you a lot of flexibility and creativity to what you can do. But we went into that, and that's been a learning curve we've been in for the last year. But 6 weeks ago, I went back and looked at stuff we were doing 6 weeks ago, and even from then till now, it's just a drastic change already. Like, because this is the only vehicle. So instead of it being a side like back burner thing where we're incrementally getting better, it became like, okay, we're all in this week. It has to get better. We've got to figure better systems. And that's why this week we went to Restream, which we're using now. And it just made life so much easier. But there's things you don't know until you do it. Mm-hmm. And so we learned a big mistake this week. So, it's like, we won't make that one again. But
you didn't have to stay up all night again, did you?
Nah, man. I'm telling you what, last night, I was even to the point where I was bored. I probably should have done some homework. But, by that point, I was like, I was zoned out and I didn't have anything to do. It felt good, man. I was just like kind of relaxing.
You need those times once in a while. Yeah. Just where you can check out.
Yeah.
And decompress.
Yep.
Watch the Tiger King.
Yeah.
That you weren't a fan of.
Yeah. I started watching and I'm like, okay, man. 'Cause I love animals, dude.
And so you went into it with a completely different... You had no idea what to expect.
I had no idea. Like, I just saw Tiger King. Oh, cool, man. What's this about? Yeah, no clue.
No, that's not... Yeah, you can't go into that with that in mind.
Yeah, it was like, okay, now this is not what I expected at all.
Yeah, you would have been better off watching, like... God, there's a cool one. I think it's on Netflix, like Nighttime Planet or Earth at Night or something.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it's pretty
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You probably would have been better off watching that.
I love that kind of stuff. Even on YouTube, there's good ones up there. Just like random animal. Dude, that's an easy thing to check out on. Finding an escape, especially now, is just finding something like that that's kind of like mindless, in some ways, and just watch something or which I haven't done a lot of, man. I'm realizing like last night was a very unique like first moment where I was definitely feeling like, all right, man, I'm like, don't really have anything to do. So I found myself like, all right, what am I going to do? We ate dinner early too, which we normally do And so by like 7:30, I'm like, I started snacking. It's just like,
That can get dangerous.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it felt good though, man. I did break out some of my from last harvest from last fall. Shot an elk, and they had some summer sausage made with cheddar and jalapeno, man. Ooh. Yeah, I'll give you some, man.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Send you home with some, dude. It's so good, man. So I broke that out, and I was like, yeah. But yeah, man, this whole thing is just crazy. Every week it's different.
Yeah, dude, every day it's different.
Yeah.
And you don't know what to expect from one day to the next. I mean, did you see, I'd have to look at the requirements, but did you look at the government's plan to reopen the economy, the 3-phase program?
I can't say I briefly saw it, but then I didn't dive in.
Did you see where churches fall in there? I meant to look at that. I might even have it pulled up. Let me see if I still have it.
It seemed like it was in the last tier.
Was it in the last tier? No, dude, I bet you it can be sooner.
But the one thing I did see, but I didn't dive in, but the one thing I did see was about being able to maintain social distancing still. And so I don't know what it's all going to mean for sure. But that's tough, dude. It's tough when you're with people to kind of control that, you know? Not necessarily everybody's keeping their distance in terms of like, you know, hugging and high fives and those kind of things. I think people will do that. But then you start to think, well, if we have to seat people and make sure they're 6 feet apart from each other, like, what do we do? Like, how do you go through? Because I've tried to think through that in my mind. Like, do you go through and like either just set up chairs that far apart from each other? Do you block chairs off? Like,
you would have to.
You know?
Well, if you look at what they do for those coronavirus task force briefings, you know, to where they got the podium up front and they have all the press chairs. Well, you notice, you know, they put like one reporter in the chair, and then there's like three chairs in between, and the next reporter, and then they make sure they got their 6 feet between each reporter. And usually they're all just packed in there like sardines. Yeah. And if you pay attention and you watch those every day, they basically have like Group A and Group B, and I'm not saying one's better than the other, but like let's say even in odds. Even days, this group of reporters gets to come in, and then on odd days, this group of reporters gets to come in.
Yeah,
that way they all get sense. That way they, because if not, they would normally
they can't all fit, right?
They can't all fit and still keep the distance. So yeah, you would have to. I mean, in your setting,
it would be interesting, man.
That'd be really tough to do. I mean, logistically, you could do it. You know, you could if you take away the certain amount of chairs and say you know. But then family groups could sit next to each other. You know, like say you brought your family. Yeah, that would be my
question, because then that would make more sense.
Because if your family, if you went to a visiting church, you know, and all 5 of you guys, right? 5. Yeah. If all 5 of you guys show up, you guys could sit together. Mm-hmm. But then you would have to, if there's another family, you'd have to make sure to have 6 feet. So it would get hairy soon. And then that's going to drastically reduce the amount of people you could have in there. And so then what do you do there? Yeah. You know, you don't want to be standing out front counting, you know, and then sending your people away. Like, I'm sorry, you can't come in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be like, I know we'll figure it out. We'll adapt and figure it out for sure. But it's definitely going to be interesting. It's going to be one of those things where I think it's going to take some creativity. And, you know, there's going to be some people who are reluctant, you know, to come back. Not just because, you know, until they're really assured, hey, this thing is gone, you know, and they start seeing that first wave of going back to the new norm, whatever that's going to look like. And they see what happens to, you know, the amount of cases. Is it growing? Is it, you know, is it staying the same? Is it flattened still? I think there's going to be a number of people that are going to kind of wait it out in the beginning. But I do feel when we do get back to a norm, and I don't know that this is just an optimistic expectation. I just think based on what I'm seeing online and the kind of the appeal of faith right now and what's happening, like it's drastic. The awareness of it is super high. And people are turning to faith, like in the numbers are astronomical. Remember I was sharing numbers with you early on about
Yep.
like the church online platform? Well, dude, get this. Last week, Easter weekend, and every weekend's been huge, but Easter weekend, so last Sunday, the numbers from church online platform alone, which doesn't include Facebook Live, it doesn't include YouTube Live, or people are doing Zoom Live. There's all kinds of other spaces people are using to do live experiences. With the church online platform, it's really unique in that it's kind of like a virtual, chat room, if you will, and so you're able to experience it like that. Well, throughout all the people that were using it last week, there were 69,422 decisions for Christ.
Who?
Almost 70,000 decisions. That's mind-blowing, man. Like, no, and again, so, people that are, some people may say, well, it's easy to click a button and say, I committed my life to Christ. Yeah, none of us will know what those decisions look like on the other side of a screen. But the fact of the matter is there was nearly 70,000 people that indicated at some level that they were committing their lives to Christ, or maybe a recommitment, but either way, they were indicating that. And when you see those numbers, I mean, that's just staggering, right? So what I kind of think or believe will happen when we get back to a normal, and when the green light's given and everybody says, hey, they can come back to church, or we can have services now, and the limitations are taken off. Whenever that happens, I really think there's going to be an influx of people that in this interim time where their curiosity has been stirred, they're now going to come to a place where they want to go beyond just an online experience, and they want to experience, the community of it. And what does it look like to be in a living, breathing service with all these people, and instead of just a virtual format, So I really think that on the backside of this, there's going to be a huge uptick to people coming to church, and I'm excited about that.
Yeah, that is exciting. I didn't think about that, and it makes sense just from a logical standpoint in my head, because I always look at religion. A lot of times people turn towards religion, and in times of uncertainty,
in crisis.
Well,
Yep.
if you think about it, the way I think about it is, a lot of people turn towards religion for the big questions that they don't have answers to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where do we come from? Where do we go? We've talked about this before, and dude, this whole situation is an unknown.
Yeah.
We have this enemy that we can't actually see.
Yeah.
And we don't know exactly how to defeat it yet.
Uh-huh.
Or even how to control it. Excuse me. And we don't know the end result yet, the end game. We don't even know they don't even have like a good solid metric to say, okay, once we see this, we can get back to normal.
Yeah.
They have some guidelines.
It's
they
still
have
discovery.
they have some ideas. Like, okay, what we think would be a good idea, once we see these metrics, we can open up here. And then once we see these metrics, we can open up here. But they're really just best guesses.
Yeah, right now it's all best guesses.
It's so, as a society, we haven't gone through so much uncertainty in ages.
Yeah.
Well, as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, as long as we've been alive, for sure.
In our lifetime.
I mean,
we've
2008, 2001.
Yep, we had 9/11, but we had an enemy we could see.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean,
and it was a limited, like, it was, and I don't want to limit or minimize the sentiment, or certainly the fact that lives were taken, but it was a limited event in terms of, it was a moment more. It was more of a moment thing. 9/11 was a date, and that date will certainly live in infamy for sure. But that moment, it came, it went, and then there was a response, and there was an enemy to go and fight, and that ensued, and all that went on. This thing
just keeps going.
Just keeps going. And I mean, you start to see the amount of people that are dying. H1N1 was a big, when you look at the numbers of H1N1, at least when I looked at them, the global death toll was huge, like bigger than this. But the American death toll was way lower. I think it was like 12,000. And we're already up past 30 something right now.
Yeah, I think so.
And so, this is a big deal. And it's not quite contained. It's like a wildfire that's still not contained yet. There's some best practices that we're all trying to adhere to and follow and listen to, but at the end of the day, it's still not controlled. But yeah, people are certainly turning to faith in these moments, and it's a very natural response. Going back to the big questions, definitely in those big questions, people are. I just got this. Yeah, more than 40,000 people in U.S. have died from coronavirus. So
that's crazy. We were just talking about that, and then it pops up on your phone.
Yeah, it was 9 minutes ago. So it was,
oh, was it?
Yeah,
it
was.
Never mind.
It was a little bit ahead of us. It was. I'm gonna mute that so that way I don't get a buzz again. But people do turn to faith in these kind of times. It's very natural. It's like the jailhouse conversion. That thought. People. In a crisis they turn to God, and it's true. But I really think that out of that, a lot of people come out of it with genuine faith and a genuine difference of perspective when it comes to life. Like, things are changed. None of us will go back to what normal was. And what does that new norm look like? I don't know. I don't really know.
Man, see, I'm losing a lot of patience with this whole thing. I got a lot of mixed emotions on this whole situation. And I'm not going to rant conspiracy theories on here. And I don't go too far down that rabbit hole anyways. But even that lingo that they implanted in our heads from the jump, the new norm.
Yeah.
Everybody is just saying that now.
Yeah.
I want to say just F that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not seceding to this new norm. We're going to... I see this as a dry run to when things are really bad. I mean, this is a bad deal.
Yeah.
But this isn't, dude, there could be something that's way worse that comes next time. And this is showing us the holes in our game. So we need to step up and fix those holes. But we can get, because what is like the new norm? What does that mean? Who knows?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I want to go back to my life the way it was.
Yeah.
I'm going back to that. That language got put out there so quick that to me it frustrates me a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like they've already admitting to, we have to change things. I'm like, well, wait, no. Well, let's back up a second. Let's really look at this.
What can change really?
What can change?
Honestly, I think that's what you start to think about. What could be different, and that's a huge rabbit trail for sure. But what could be different? Well, like this virus ultimately, I think, caught the world by surprise in a lot of ways.
It did.
And how much of it, and this is where, you start to, like, how much of it, honestly, did China know and not indicate, or not?
Oh, probably a ton. You can't trust any information coming out of a communist country.
Yeah.
You can't. And they're going to structure the news to make them look as best as possible. China looks after China. They don't care about the rest of the world. Yeah. I hate to say it, I shouldn't be offending anybody. I think it's common knowledge.
Yeah.
They operate different than us Americans do.
Yeah.
They want to do what's best for China, and they want to do what puts them in the best light.
Yeah.
And so they only release information that they see fit.
Which feels like on the counter side, I don't know, this is my perspective with not digging into it too much, but on the counter side, when you look at like America's response to it, at least, just from a 30,000 foot view, man, I'm not trying to, jump down these, rabbit trails too much, but I feel like there's a lot of openness and honesty as far as like, hey, this is how many tests are being done. This, this is how many people are sick. This is how many people are dying. I think there's a lot of transparency and maybe in one way, almost too much. I don't know. I don't know if that can be too much, but the point is like when you contrast it to the lack of information we seem to be getting or have gotten, especially early on, and then even now from China, I feel like America's response is like on the other side of the pendulum, like
and as well as
honesty and transparency,
as well as should be, because this is a world problem, and we all need to work together, and almost all the other countries are. Everybody's handling it a little bit different. Switzerland has the way they're handling it. And we'll see how that shakes out. America has the way we're approaching it. We're going to see how that shakes out. Everybody's different. Germany's handling it different. Italy is. We're having all these different places coming at the same problem. But the problem within those countries is also different.
Yeah.
Correct? And so there's not a one-size-fits-all solution. but I think it's really good that there seems to be a really open line of communication from the world,
global
except for China.
Yeah, that seems so strange. Well,
Nah,
and
it's
early
not
on,
that, dude. It's not that strange.
It's not strange. You're
It's
right.
not- it's
but
not
it's just,
strange.
it's like, come on, man. This is a global.
Dude, if they-
the word pandemic.
If
You know?
we'd be in a completely different situation if China would have been extremely forthcoming, like
True.
right out of the gate. Like, hey, listen, guys, we got this thing, wiping people out. It seems to be pretty contagious, but no, they tried to squash it as
that's
long
the
as
thing.
possible.
Now that you're starting to see the questions, you're starting to see that come out now with, I just saw a headline. I didn't read the story, but Trump, really putting on the pressure now is like, were we intentionally misled, or was there, a lack of information? That's part of the conversation now, at least coming from global leaders.
Yep.
They're starting to ask that. But man, these are the current numbers, and this is as of April 19th, 2020. Looks like 21:38 in terms of time. Military time, 21:38. So, over 2.4 million people have coronavirus. 165,641 deaths. And then you go into like the countries, and man, it's just crazy how much it's blown up here in America. USA 762,496. Death toll just surpassed 40,478. It's crazy numbers, man. But yeah, Spain's up there, Italy, France, Germany, UK, Turkey. China's still high, but in all reality, man, dude,
you can't trust any numbers coming out of China.
I
look at, I don't even bother.
82,000. It's like,
I don't even
really?
bother. I don't even bother looking at it.
Right?
It's not, dude. It's not logical.
It doesn't seem logical,
How
not
many
at all.
billion people are in China?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's so densely populated. Get out of here.
Well, that's like New York.
Yeah, that's why they're having problems.
Have you ever
here.
been to New York City?
Yeah. It's crazy.
So
crazy
some
place,
people
man.
who've never been to New York, it's hard to understand how dense the population is. Like especially if you're from like, somewhere in,
Here.
Western Colorado, for example, it's like, I was telling my girls the other day, like if you've ever been on a subway in New York going from, the Bronx to Manhattan, I mean, you are jam packed, especially rush hour back and forth. There's just so many people. I mean, you're literally touching people the whole time. So, somebody's sick, man, that thing's going to spread fast in a city like New York. And obviously it did, total devastation. I was watching something last week where, a member of a church who was, spending time down there, and she was kind of just sharing her story. She's working out of Central Park, and they have a makeshift hospital set up in Central Park. And honestly, when I watched that was a little bit like, it's almost like 9/11. If you'd never been to New York City and you can't understand or fathom what the Twin Towers were like, and I had the privilege of being able to go there a couple of times before 9/11, and actually to the point where, at one of those trips, if not both, one for sure, actually being on top of one of the Twin Towers, taking pictures from up there, doing the whole thing. So like I had an understanding, I had this idea for what that was like, to fathom those buildings being, no longer being there. I've been back since when they was under construction and, they were doing all that work there. But it's hard to understand. So back to today, though, it's hard for us to really understand. We read the numbers, but then when you see like these makeshift hospitals in Central Park, and you see people working there, and they're kind of talking through like the logistics of that, it definitely makes it feel less over there, and you go, man, it just feels more real, I guess. My wife's one of her first cousins just found out yesterday, I believe, her father-in-law, he went to the hospital sick. And now, like the last I heard, he's on a ventilator. His lungs are completely filled. He's no longer breathing on his own at all.
Ugh.
And it's progressively getting worse. And yesterday he came in, and right now he's completely out. And I don't know if he's gonna make it or not. And that's heavy, man. But it goes from like this thing that's out there to this thing that's like closer. Even though it's not necessarily close to me. Mesa County, where we live, dude, it's pretty mellow, man, when you think about it.
Oh yeah, there's only been 36 cases.
Yeah, and 30 of those
34 of them have recovered.
Is that how many? I was wondering. I knew last I heard was 30, which was a couple days ago. I think it's 34.
I just looked at it last night.
Okay.
It's such a different animal here. I mean, we're a small town on the western slope of the Rocky Mountains, not very densely populated.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean we don't have to be smart about things.
Yeah, for sure. No.
But I that's something I want to bring up too for people, and not to be harsh, but I just want to speak logically to people, and because I see people, I think they mean well, but also the cynical side of me comes out. And so let's talk about mask, right? We talked about mask on last episode.
Yeah.
And actually our governor just put out the executive order on Friday that all people that are working in these essential positions like myself that are still going to work have to wear masks.
Okay.
I get it when you're out interacting with public.
Yeah.
Wear a mask. Okay, people. Let me explain something to you. If you're out walking your dog by yourself and you're not stopping and talking to people, or if you are stopping and talking to a neighbor, you're keeping your social distance, you don't have to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Like this isn't just like this airborne plague flying around everywhere that's going to get you sick.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I saw a lady.
It's contact.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a lady in her backyard by herself doing yard work wearing a mask.
Yeah.
Like,
that
okay.
seems extreme to me.
It is.
It's
not extreme. It is extreme.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. So when I see people do this, and I see people that I think they mean well. Well, I hope they mean well.
Yeah.
But I really think when you see someone doing that, I think there's one of two camps you're going to fall in. One, they just don't know the correct information, and they possibly think that this thing is just floating around in the air and they're going to get it.
Yeah.
Which, no, that's completely incorrect. Also, these masks you're wearing, unless you have like the N95, mask with the charcoal filters, these masks aren't protecting you. They are protecting the people around you.
Yeah.
They're catching the particulates coming out of your mouth. That's what a surgical mask is for. So the quote unquote, the term surgical mask is for when a surgeon wears it. So he puts it on. So when he's operating on somebody, his germs don't get inside the patient.
Exactly.
Okay. So first of all, people, there's that. So you're not protecting yourself by wearing that mask. You're thinking that you're the fellow citizens. So if you're in your car by yourself, you can take the mask off.
Yeah. I see people driving with them on.
All the time, dude.
Yeah.
Now, on that note, I totally get, like, say you're a pizza delivery guy and you don't want to be taking your mask on and off, on and off.
Makes sense.
Leave it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But once you leave the grocery store or you leave a place of business or wherever you're doing business, interacting with people, you can take it off.
Mm-hmm.
And you're out walking in your neighborhood. You don't have to have it on, man. Like, let's everybody needs to chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Put some logic into this,
well,
man.
this was fresh 2 weeks ago. The mask thing, remember that?
Yep.
And I was really, and honestly, I have not felt very comfortable about wearing masks. And I'm just being honest. Like, I feel like that a lot of people would want to throw a rock at me at that moment and say, dude, you're wrong. And,
I was going to go down that road.
And I get it. Like, I get it. I do get it. I am understanding of where other people are coming from. But for me, I definitely 2 weeks ago was like, I don't know that I want to wear a mask. And the truth is that like, I have not interacted a lot with people. I'm not out and about. I'm not at stores. I don't work. I've been working from home and I spend most of my time right here. And, around my house, I'm not wearing a mask. When I'm outside and walk in my neighborhood, I'm not
Hey, dude,
wearing
if I
a
came
mask.
over here and you were wearing a mask, if you weren't sick, I would tackle you,
Yeah.
choke you, and take your mask off. Be like, what are you doing, son?
I'm gonna put one on and just be like, hey, try to take this off of me, bro.
I said, let's do this.
So, but here's what I did. What I did realize is the other day and somebody gave us some masks, which I'm so grateful for, because they went out of their way to sew up some masks for my wife and I and our family, and I'm super grateful for that. Like,
That's awesome.
I really appreciate it, because I wasn't going to go out of my way to do that. And I had just one mask, honestly, for myself that was an old work mask. And I'm like, well, if anything, I'm going to throw this one in my truck and I'll have it with me. And honestly, not thinking about it, I did go to the store and picked up some elk meat that I had. And I just, I'm just going through my routine. I'm not seeing very many people, and I get down and I walk in and without a mask. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I hadn't really thought about it because I really haven't been public and therefore haven't really had a need to wear one. And so I get there, and the first time my buddy Rick, he's owns the shop there, Old World Meat, and him and his family. And they're in the back cutting meat, and one of them comes out, and they all have masks on. Of course, in the back, they're not wearing it either because, they're all healthy. They're not. It's the same concept, they're not wearing them. But when they come to interact with the public, they're putting it on, right? Yep. So he kind of points to me, and he's like, "Where's your mask, dude?" And it was the first time that I felt this like pressure. Like, I felt the pressure, I guess, but it was this first time that I guess I felt the social pressure from somebody who I respect highly. And he's a good dude, man. And
I actually used to take care of his dogs.
Oh yeah, Rick.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
He's got like a
lab.
Well, he had a lab, and then he had a puppy mastiff.
Okay.
So it's
it's
back during like Christmas time. Because we used to take care of his dogs for years.
Oh, okay.
And
That's interesting.
No, not even. The last time I was over there was probably last summer.
Okay.
And then I kind of just...
Dude, what's funny about that and why I knew he had a lab and stuff is because, we've gotten to know each other over the years. I helped them build their website. But before that, it was all about, like, I first connected with them about getting meat for my dogs, to feed my dogs. And so we went, he helped me out for a long time. And then it became one of those things of like, I can't really be doing this anymore because they're starting to put stipulations on what can go out for dogs. And so that changed. But great people. And, but yeah, I felt that pressure and we didn't get to talk about it. So I don't know if he was like, I don't know what he was saying, but it's through the glass, and he's in there butchering, and he points. And so I don't know if it was like, hey, where's your mask? Or it's like, dude, these masks,
Did who knows? Did he have one on?
He had one around his neck. He wasn't wearing it, but that's because they were in the back.
Okay, so that brings up two things I want to touch on. So the thing, I talked about people, there's a couple of different camps when it comes to these masks. And one is the people with misinformation, so maybe not using it properly. Okay, so I explained that. I think I explained it pretty well. The second one is people into this camp, and I'm not putting this guy on blast, but it's a good example. It's this culture we're in nowadays. It's this virtue signaling culture and this call out shaming culture. Mm-hmm. Like, look at me, I'm wearing my mask.
Yeah,
I'm looking down on you for not wearing yours.
Yeah,
dude, there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah,
there's a ton of that.
I guarantee it. And I don't know that Rick was doing that.
No, I'm not saying. Sure. I'm not saying he wasn't at all.
I know you're not saying that. But if you're listening to this, Rick, we love you, man. We'll come by and buy some Red Hot jerky, and everybody else should too, because they got the greatest jerky.
Does he listen to us?
I don't know.
Oh, because it's funny. I talk about his dogs. Like, I don't know if I met him years ago because my ex-wife and I owned a dog sitting business, right? And so. Is how that would work a lot of times. We would, you meet the humans first, and then you take care of the dogs. Yeah. Dude, I'll go years without ever seeing the humans again, and I just keep taking care of their animals. So like I forget what the humans, they forget what I look like, but I'm at their house playing with their dogs all the time. So he if he was to listen to this, be like, who's this guy that was at my house taking care of my dog?
But you're right though, as far as that feeling goes, and there's some things that we've done as a church, like we're still feeding people, and I know. My brother, who's on staff with us at the church, Pastor Micah, and the team that we have that works with parolees and a lot of our really front lines working with people. We're encouraging them. Hey, wear masks. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're interacting with the public and when you're delivering food to vulnerable population, you
Wear a
better
mask.
wear a mask.
Be responsible.
Yeah.
And dude, I got a mask in my pocket.
Yeah.
A cloth mask in my pocket. I bought one from the Armbar Soap Company.
See, I need a cool one.
It's a jiu-jitsu mask. Hey, have you seen these?
No.
I'll put it on for you later. But
oh yeah.
so it's kind of like a
a rash guard.
Yeah, it's made out of a rash guard. So you just slip it on over your neck and then you
See,
pull it
that
up.
one's cool.
But
I'm not that cool. I gotta work one.
well, the reason being, with my job, I'm really surprised this hasn't happened yet. I haven't been to any customers that require me to have a mask on to go make the delivery.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of time before it happens.
Yeah.
That's why I am prepared. And I really think maybe not here in Mesa County because we're in a different situation, but I could see it happening that they'll end up mandating it for like the grocery stores.
Yeah.
I can see like City Market having a sign out front saying you can't come in without wearing a mask.
Yeah.
It's not at that point yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it got to that.
It wouldn't surprise me because, the truth is that, especially the grocery store. The grocery store seems like definitely the most vulnerable store, to be quite honest. It just seems like the most vulnerable place in society right now because everybody has to eat.
Yep.
And at some point, you're going to have to, somebody in your family, even if it's your family, somebody in your family is going to have to get to food. Mm-hmm. Like it's just, basics, survival, like we need food to survive. So, that is it's a vulnerable place, you think about Home Depot, I was at Home Depot the other day and, when you go in there, it's about 50-50, even with the employees. Now, I don't know if that's changed recently. Maybe it has. But at least when I was there a couple of weeks ago, it's probably been a while. But when I was in there, it was about 50-50, even for employees. So people that were coming in and employees, it was about 50-50. And I'm throwing a guess out there. Mm-hmm. Point is not everybody was doing it. But at the same time, it's not an essential store like a grocery store. Like people that are coming in there, for the most part, they're working, probably a lot of them are contractors. They're working, they're in and out, they're like busy, they're not borderline sick, and it's a different population, I guess. But grocery store, man, that could be a vulnerable spot.
Well, because everybody has to go.
Yeah. And so mandating those kind of things in those environments, from a logical standpoint, makes sense. It does feel, you do have the extremes though, man. I've seen a lot of stuff online, people that are like all on board and they're like, let's do everything. And there's other people who are like, I'm not doing that to save my life, in other words. And I just think like there's a middle ground somewhere.
There's a middle ground. But I was getting to to like this whole call out culture, virtue signaling. I just want to bring that up because there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
It's disturbing. Mm-hmm. Like, man, worry about yourself and present the best version of yourself to the world.
Yeah.
And that's just going to make the world a better place. Always try to be the best version of yourself for your own good and for your family and friends' own good. And that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
And if you see somebody doing something you disagree with, and this whole like snitch culture and this call out culture, man, dude, I could start ranting because dude, this whole situation frustrates me. I think a lot of people we're giving up our liberties, our civil liberties and stuff right now, our freedoms. Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to look at some really disturbing things, look at how North Korea runs their country, how Kim Jong-un runs his country.
Yeah,
Look at, and I know this is an extreme example, but really it's not. If you don't know much about how he keeps his people under wraps and keeps them under control, read up on it. One of the biggest tools he uses to control his population is that snitch and call out culture. Mm. So you don't know who a snitch, you don't know if your neighbor's going to rat on you for not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
For if you don't, praise the leader enough or whatever it is, it's
yeah.
North Korea, they're insane.
Yeah.
But it's the same tactics. I'm not saying they're trying to do that to us, but it's a slippery
The
slope.
principles are the same, in other words.
Like people, be careful, man. A lot of our constitutional rights are getting put in question right now, and people are so easy to give them up.
Yeah.
And dude, once the government takes power, they're not likely to give that power back.
Yeah.
And they always do these things under the guise of our best interest and our safety. Look at a lot of the freedoms and different things we lost due to 9/11.
Yeah. So there, think about the phrase we started out with, new norm, or what we talked about.
Exactly.
There was a new norm there. I mean,
and we've all just come to terms with it.
It is
we
what
have
it is.
Surveillance. You guys can watch everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
lots changed.
Dude, it's super frustrating because people don't know their history. I think a lot of this comes through. I'm not a history buff, but I've read enough and I know enough. This never ends well. Look at the French Revolution. It was all done under the guise of what's best for the people. I don't know if you guys know your history well. This took place back in the late 1700s, early 1800s. It didn't end well.
Yeah.
It did not end well. And it started out, this is for what's best for the group and what's best for the people. And they slowly start taking your rights away. And then they ask your neighbor to rat on you. Well, he's not behaving properly. He's not doing this. He's not doing this. So you get into this culture. And there's a ton of that on social. I'm not on social media, and thank goodness.
Yeah.
But I've had a lot of my friends tell me that this situation has chased them off of social media because there is actually like coronavirus shaming pages to where people are putting other people on blast. Oh, look at these people not wearing the mask or not respecting social distancing, like trying to shame these people into behaving the way they see fit.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of
of negativity on both sides, and I think those extremes I think most people honestly live somewhere in the middle.
I hope so.
And I think even in politics, we think about the extreme of politics, for example. I think you could take just about any example, but politics is one of them. This situation is obviously tension filled. And there's probably people listening to us right now that, they're on those extremes too. And they're like saying, whatever their extreme is, I'm not even going to go and explain those. But I think most people live somewhere in the middle. And we're really all trying to make sense of this. And we're wanting to do what's right for sure. Not just for ourselves, for our families, for others. And, coming back to like the specifics of a mask for me. Like, honestly, what I've determined, at least from my own heart, is that really what it comes down to for a mask is that it's really about other people for me. Mm-hmm. It's about, and honestly, like in the humility of that, I'm just saying, you know what, sure, I'll wear a mask. I mean, it's not going to bother me if it gives peace to, and sorry, Rick, but if it gives peace to Rick, maybe Rick was on a total different, but dude, and he'll probably never hear this, unless I send it to him. But if it makes him feel better, if it makes my neighbor feel better, I've got some neighbors across the street, really cool people, man. Both retired, older people, and I've had some really good conversations with them. And, and they're kind of in that same thing of like, when I go to the store, I'm wearing a mask, but man, when I'm out and about there in the neighborhood, they're just like, I'm not doing that. The point though, that I think I take away from all this is that all of us are more in the middle somewhere. Mm-hmm. And for me, like the motivation for any of it shouldn't be the shaming from anybody. It shouldn't be, a misguided reality of any kind, but it should be, hey, you know what? I respect Rob enough. I respect my neighbors enough. I respect my community enough to do it for them. Mm-hmm. And that can feel weird too, though, because then it does feel like, well, how far different is that than the shaming thing? I get it, but I think there's also a respect level to people.
I agree with you, but let me explain it another way. When you go do, so let's say you go do some volunteer work, the super easy example, like the soup kitchen or something, or you go help somebody out that needs help.
Yeah.
You can always put the argument out there. Is that really that altruistic? Because look at how good it makes you feel when you go help somebody else.
Yeah.
So when you go help somebody else, are you doing that to help that person? Or are you doing that to make yourself feel better?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing.
It is.
You know what I mean? And
there's both sides of it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It all just what picture you want to paint.
Yeah. You know,
Oh, what are you pulling up here?
I'm pulling up some pictures because this is like our kids area right now. That's what it looks like. So where we would normally have like kids church, that's what it looks like. And, you know, we're just rotating food. And, you know, funny thing is...
Wait, what is that to help people that...
Yeah, so people that are, you know, really our target audience has been... But if you kind of zoom in there, wish you guys could see this, but it's just boxes. It's our kids area, but right now it's turned into like total area for what we're doing to help people. Basically to give boxes to you know, people, to needs. I mean, TP, there's all kinds of stuff we've been able to procure and then help people, you know. And that right there, it's about, you know, for us, we're really looking at it as it with people who are in need, which people are, man.
People are in need, yeah.
And then also the vulnerable, like anybody who's connected to my church family and they're older, they're elderly. I don't want them being exposed. Dude, you know, the truth is that this virus is nasty. And there's a reality to the fact that it can take, you know, older people and people with compromised immune systems, like it can take them out, you know, and is taking them out. And the truth is even, you know, some younger people have been taken out. It's not, you know, but the majority of healthy people are making it through this. The point is like, I want to do for them, man. I mean, just think about your grandparents, my grandparents, you know, like the only living grandmother I still have, she's 94 years old right now. And, you know, but I want to do whatever I can for those people. Like, let me carry the burden for your life. And not only that, Baghdad, dude, they carried the burden for us. They raised us. They raised our parents. They, you know, they went through the trenches of life, you know. If you kind of look at it like as a bigger scale thing, like, dude, they paved the way for us to be where we're at. And how can we not give back to them and do for them, you know? So those are kind of the thoughts I have when it comes to like how we're helping people. But yeah, we do it. I think it's always two-sided.
It is two-sided.
What do I get out of this?
Yeah, dude, it makes you feel great.
Yeah, and
so
it should.
It should. And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. And so do you not do that stuff? Because like, oh, I'm selfish because that makes me feel good. So do you not help me? I mean, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But there's always two sides of the same coin. You know?
Yeah, this thing is, hey, so one question I had for you is how about, you know, we kind of chatted a little bit about it last week, but your job, is it seeming stable still? Or?
Stable's a relative term in this day and age.
Yeah.
I'm still working. Very grateful for that. As of right now, the date got pushed back. Originally, they were going to put some people on furlough starting tomorrow, the 20th, right? Today's the 19th? Yep. So, yeah, the furloughs were going to start tomorrow. That date got pushed back. I'm not sure why. But as of right now, it still looks like they're going to be putting two guys that are in my position, which is, it's called a city driver. Two of those guys are going to be getting put on furlough. And then road drivers, that's you know, the guys that go to Denver and back and forth every night, basically. They're going to be putting 10 of those guys on furlough. But they haven't put out an exact date yet. Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean,
so do you think you'll make the cut? Or
I won't. When I actually, is my train of thought on it, it's a seniority thing.
Okay.
And in my position where I'm at, like I said, I'm a city driver. There's only, I think there's like 18 of us, if that. I'm like halfway up the food chain. There's six or seven guys below me.
Okay, yeah.
But it's what I did. I mean, because I'm just a single guy. I have me and my dog.
Yeah.
And I live below my means, man. I don't have any bills. I don't drive a fancy car. All I have is my house payment, you know, and just the regular living expenses, you know, your water bill and stuff. And no credit card debt. Like, dude, I live below my means. Like, I'm kind of a cheap SOB when it comes to certain things. But so I asked, is where, you know, my train of thought was, you know, because, dude, I've been through this, man. I worked in the auto industry. Like, layoffs suck, man.
When in Michigan?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dude, it sucks, man. I've been down this road before. And I know there's guys below me in the seniority list that have kids, have young kids. There's at least three guys that are a little bit younger than I am and have young children at home. And dude, like I can get by on unemployment. I'm like, lay me off, dude. I'll take the furlough. Like I can pay my bills. So I called my coworkers that have kids, because there's a few guys below me that don't have kids that are kind of in my position. Mm-hmm. They can sort it out. Yeah. I'm not too worried about them. I mean, I'm worried about them. Yeah, but I'm worried about kids.
They got to figure themselves out.
They got to figure themselves out. You know, they're grown adult. But so I called the guys with kids and said, here's the deal. Looks like layoffs are coming. Would you rather take the layoff and collect unemployment, or do you want to stay working? One guy told me he would rather work. The other two guys said they'd rather collect the unemployment, because right now with the unemployment and then that extra government stimulus check, they could stand to almost make more money on unemployment.
Got it. Yeah.
And so because also my seniority would trump them. If I went to my boss and said, hey, give me the furlough, I'll take the unemployment. Well, he would allow me to do it, and then that guy would work. Yeah. But if he's only been getting 20 hours a week, it's more beneficial for him to get laid off. Yeah. And so that's what I was more worried about. Like, hey, what do you want to do for you and your kids? Yep. Because I can get by myself. And the other two guys said, hey, I'd rather take the furlough. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. So I told that one guy that said he'd rather work. I was like, well, if the boss comes to you and says, hey, you're about to get furloughed and you'd rather work, I already told the boss I'll take the hit. So just let me know. Yeah, that's cool, man. I doubt that'll happen though. So we'll see. But yeah, because I worry about kids, man. People with families and kids.
Dude, a big difference.
That's huge difference, man. And I'm not ignorant to that. You know what I mean? It's just me and my dog, dude. We can get by.
Yeah. Our church right now, like what we do, with our, all that we do, there's a lot that happens. It's not just your typical, traditional church. I mean, we work with a lot of different things, and we've got several employees where a normal church might not have as many. And right now there's a lot of security. We did so we're working hard still. People are still on the grind, and that's why we're taking care of people's needs, and we're trying to do what we can. So there's some security there, but we did put in for one of the PPP loans to be able to try to the small business loans and be able to pay
payroll protection program or something.
Yep. And so we did that, and we did it early, man. I don't know. It seems like for somehow we didn't get in the queue fast enough. I'm not sure, but it looks like right now that we're actually pushed out. Like we didn't get the loan. Mm-hmm. So we're waiting on final details, but that's the word I'm getting right now. And I feel comfortable. I feel like, okay, that's fine. Like we're okay. But I definitely, push comes to shove, things in a couple of months, they might be different. Although looks like there might be more stimulus money. So those people that are in the queue then would be able to get some of that money. I don't know, man. The way I look at it is like we put in more as a backup plan anyway. And that way, cause we have, the truth is we have 11 employees. And so there's, it's a good group of people that like if everything stopped, all of our, contract with the state and everything that we're doing, if it stopped tomorrow, there'd be layoffs. Mm-hmm. Thankfully that's not happening. So anybody who's listening to this, that's not happening. We're okay. And I've been reassuring people, offline, but ultimately like that was a backup plan for us. And if we don't need it, we'll give the money back, like we're obviously, there's no reason to have a loan you don't need, you know? But yeah, it's interesting, man, because a lot of people are getting laid off. Yep. And it's across industries, man. I know, there's a 1-2 punch right now in the oil field, like they were already struggling, with oil prices being what they are. And then boom, you get hit with coronavirus as well. It's a 1-2 punch, and there's a ton of people that have been laid off. And so, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty in all of this, and one thing I feel, and I did put out a video about it this week, is like, guys, we're going to get through this. Mm-hmm. When? That's the question we all want to know. Everybody wants to know when.
When and how.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Everybody, we're in that sense, we're all impatient to a degree. And we want to know when. Like, are we there yet? Think about your typical kids, asking like on a road trip, are we there yet? When are we going to get there? How long is it going to take? We all are asking that question. We don't know when. And quite honestly, the how question, how. We don't know how, we don't know what it's going to look like on the other side, the new norm. We don't know if that's going to have long-term effects or if it's going to go like, oh no, we walk through that and actually it feels very normal after this when it's all said and done. But I would just, remind us that we will get through this. There's been sicknesses like this. I know that the 1918 Spanish flu was huge. I don't know all the details on it, but I know that it was huge. I know that, the Great Depression was really bad times for people all over the world. I know that there's been other significant moments throughout human history that have been very difficult, not only in recent history over the last 100 or 200 years, but, over the last thousands of years. There's been some difficult times, but we've gotten through it. And I feel confident in saying we'll get through this, how, when, what losses will be incurred, I don't know, man. I don't know that there's a soul on the planet that can tell you that, but we're going to get through this, and just keep your sanity, man, in the middle of it all.
Stay positive.
Yeah.
Look out for those around you.
Yeah.
Help people out that you see that need the help.
Yeah, I told the girls today at lunch, I said, I'm not too worried about myself getting sick. That doesn't honestly scare me at all. I know it should.
Nah, I'm with you. I feel the same way.
It doesn't bother me. Like I don't fear myself getting sick. I really don't. I'm not inviting sickness. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not being reckless, in terms of, I'm keeping my distance. I've been home a lot, but what does change this conversation is I don't want my wife or my daughters to get sick. Mm-hmm. That right there, I can't deal with. Cause that's out of my control. If I'm sick,
you
that's
don't
one
see
thing.
Somebody you love suffering.
No, heck no, man.
No.
So, I was realizing Mary and I, we put gas in our vehicles and I can't believe it. We just haven't, there's full tanks still, just we haven't been anywhere basically. But we're going to get through this, and be smart, be wise, wear a mask for yourself, wear a mask for other people, I think we're in the middle of all this. We got to realize that everybody's going to have different perspectives. Everybody's going to have different opinions. Be nice to each other, man.
Be patient.
Yeah, be patient,
I say that because I got to say that to myself.
Right. Yeah.
I have to tell myself that regularly.
Yeah.
That everybody's going to see and react different, and everybody's coming from this from a different place.
Yeah.
So this is affecting them differently. Yeah, man, it's tough, dude.
It is tough, man. So, man. Well, I don't know. Any other?
No, I think we talked it to death.
Yeah.
Stupid coronavirus. Dude, I can't wait till this is all over.
I'm with you, man. I'm definitely looking forward to it being over and getting back to some of the things that, I enjoy doing. For me, it's not just about being in a church building. And, I'm a pastor and I get that. A lot of people, they say this, the only guy who wants a full church building is the pastor. And it makes sense. Do you want to go to a movie where every seat's taken? Nah, you want to go to a movie where there's room to spread out, But I'm looking forward to those kind of things, getting back to those norms and enjoying life, enjoying time with people. I am more introverted than a lot of people. And because I am more of a on-stage personality, if you will, people don't think that, but I'm not, man. I don't but right now I'm craving that. I'm craving this hanging out with people, making food at my house and just having people over. And so I'm definitely looking forward to
we're
that.
all social creatures, whether we like to admit it or not. And it really, another tough thing, not to open up the conversation again, but with the mask, you go out in public and then people's mouths are covered. You can't read their emotion.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're smiling or if they're snarling at you.
It's interesting.
It's not human, man. It
doesn't seem normal.
And if someone has sunglasses and a mask on, dude, you can't read
the robots.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, it's so
zombies.
Dehumanized. Like,
Well, dude, I'm naturally a very touchy person.
Yep, same
you know?
here.
I'm
Yep.
like high fives, hugs, like all,
Yep.
you know, I'm all that. And I actually feel disrespectful when I don't.
shake someone's hand.
Yeah, dude.
Yep,
But I'm not. You know, I'm definitely. I've gotten past it mentally, but it feels weird.
Well, you know, I'm the exact same way. I met somebody new the other day, like last week, and I was like, hey, right away, I was like, I would shake your hand, but I don't think we're supposed to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm being more disrespectful not shaking your hand, or would I be more disrespectful shaking your hand?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think this day and age, I don't think you can shake hands.
Yeah, I think this day and age is more respectful to just keep
Say-
your distance.
But I have to say something
Right?
about it. Like,
Ah, dude, I feel so weird.
I,
Yeah, but we'll get on the other side of this for sure. And when we do get back to the norm, man, I'm throwing a party at my house, man, for sure. Throwing some parties, hanging out. Yeah, I look forward to full gyms again. To be honest with you, you know that I worked out this past week and it was good. Like it was definitely good. But I gotta say, man, for me, I enjoy most just being on the mat. Like. Not that I don't enjoy working out, I do, especially after I've done it. Then I realize, dude, you do like this, but I really enjoy being on the mats. That's for me where, as long as I can keep my body healthy, that's where I want to be working out, you know. So I'm looking forward getting back to all that stuff. So, last thing. Hey, I think we're gonna try something different in 2 weeks. So
I almost forgot to mention this.
if you're listening, still, thank you. That's awesome. And but what we're gonna do is we're gonna go live next time. So we're gonna work on getting that set up on both our YouTube and then we'll probably my personal Facebook. We can do it there for sure. And but yeah, YouTube, our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, my Facebook page, profile, and then you know, we'll see about if we can go live in other places or not. But either way,
yeah, so that means actually, so 2 weeks from now, generally our episodes come out, you know, on Monday mornings. So that means next episode, 2 weeks from today, they'll be coming out roughly this time on a Sunday evening.
Yeah, be cool. And we'll go live. What we'll do is we'll go live, and then we can still post it.
It'll still post,
yeah.
right? We'll have to figure that out. But
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna go live, so it'll be a video. So it'd be nice to be interactive and more kind of conversational with our crew too.
That would be pretty
So,
cool.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think with that wraps up episode number 11. By the way,
Is that what it is?
I believe so. And if not, well, I said it.
Well,
So
whatever.
Yeah.
We'll call it number 11. Who's counting?
Yeah. So we're out, and we'll catch you live actually in 2 weeks from
2
today.
weeks.
And we'll get some information out there to y'all, try to reminders and stuff. But anyway, it'll be fun. Thanks again for listening. We appreciate you guys, and stay safe during this whole pandemic.
See ya.
Peace.
Peace.